we're going to, in a moment, take a deep breath in. And on the exhale, just release any sigh or sound that just feels delicious for you. So deep breath in. Exhale with a sigh or a sound. Very nice. Let's just do that one more time. Deep breath. When you're ready, gently open your eyes, taking in the light of the room. If you're able to, just kind of lean in and see the other wise, beautiful faces of women, all different kinds of women here today. We're going to be kind of a small, intimate group. And just welcoming you, Vivian, Paula, Liz, Beth, Pat, Jenny, Janet, Danielle, Jane, Sarah. Let's see, who else? Sylvia, Terry. Fantastic. I'm so happy you're here. Yay. So I just want to share with you let's see, where am I? where am I? Here I am. Okay. I want to just share with you, I don't know if you can see this very well, but my prayers that I adhered to this candle. It's one of those big candles. The first one is the prayer of letting go. So I don't know if you can relate with that or just take that in or is meaningful for you. Great, feel free to borrow it. And the other is my intention, which is flourishing queen maker. I really see every woman here as a queen and as a queen maker. You probably work with women, you work with people, you work with women, most likely. And you're in a position of leadership to the ripple effects of your leadership go wide and far, and that's really what my intention is with this class today, is that we're all out there doing beautiful work in the world, and how can we touch more lives and reach more people in a way that's really relaxing and nourishing. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being on time. I'm glad we had a chance to just drop in for a moment with our meditation. I'm going to make this really interactive, so I want to invite you to open up your chat box in your Zoom. I think I'm pointing in the right direction. I think it's this direction, and everything's a little bit reversed for me. And I want you to type in yes if this is true for you. Are you ready to learn how to use collaboration to reach way beyond your current audience, to new audiences, new people? Please type yes if that resonates with you. Great. Terry, Liz, Danielle, Paula, Beth, Alina. Gorgeous. Welcome, Alina. Yes, type yes if you're ready to learn how to use tribal marketing to establish yourself as the trusted go-to leader in your field. Yes, 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 yes. Yeah, we want to talk a little bit today about that whole phenomenon of word of mouth business, but taking it to the next level with tribal marketing. I'm just going to put in my headset because my little doggy is barking. Let me ask you this as well. This is one more question. Also answer yes if this resonates with you. If you'd like to learn how collaboration can lead to speaking and publicity opportunities, as well as client referrals, a steady stream of clients and income. Yes, gorgeous, beautiful, awesome. Alina, Pat, Liz, Jane, Sylvia says yes, gorgeous. Thank you so much for engaging with me. I know that when we're on our screens, it's easy to just kind of go into zombie mode. So I want to invite you, if at all possible, to try to really be here as if we were sitting in circle, live together in front of my fireplace and on comfy sofas, and lounging and luxuriating with our tea together, and try to eliminate other types of screen noise or texting or social media and just be fully here. You may notice parts of this masterclass where you zone out, and that's always really interesting to just notice, like, oh, I'm not ready to learn that piece yet, and there's no right or no wrong, but just noticing. I'm also recording this. You can also go back to listen to the pieces that maybe that you didn't catch the first time, but take notes. So this is a masterclass. It's all about how to add or grow your business, add 6 figures or more to your business, or to earn 6 figures or more with collaboration and tribal marketing. So I'm going to break down a lot of what that can look like, different models, etc. But I want to just acknowledge you for being here. I want to acknowledge you for being the kind of women who are committed to your personal growth, that are committed to your business growth, that you took this time on your Saturday, Memorial Day weekend. I know that was a huge ask on my part to ask you to do that, but I just appreciate you for being here. So thank you so much. I also just want to thank you for being healers out in the world. Like, you're here because you probably have a business or are wanting to launch a business. Some of you I can see on the call are quite far ahead in your businesses. You're already established leaders. And I just appreciate the work that I know that you're doing out there as healers, as mentors, as guides, that you are the light keepers and you are beacons of light in this world right now. Like, you are needed. This world needs you. This world needs your work and your positivity. And I just appreciate you for being here and for showing up. I'm passionate about this particular topic because I've been a business coach for 15 years. I've had hundreds and hundreds of conversations with women over that 15 years. And there are 4 common mistakes and kind of energy sucks that I see women entrepreneurs, even really established women entrepreneurs, make again and again. I see these mistakes that women are making, and I'm really passionate about making these past tense, like releasing these old paradigms. So the 4 common mistakes, and you can take notes on this if you'd like. The first one is efforting and doing versus resting and attracting. And you can just kind of feel that in your body. Efforting and doing. It's like I feel my muscles want to crunch up and my voice wants to do this funny voice. Versus resting and attracting. It's easier to breathe. I'm leaning back. It's spacious. And because of the efforting and doing, a lot of times women will let unrecognized opportunities pass by because they're blinded with overwhelm or being stuck in a box that's really too small for what's possible for you. The second mistake that I see women entrepreneurs make is isolation, aloneness. We're going to talk a few times about what I call the lone wolf paradigm, which I think we can agree is a very tired old paradigm. It's part of kind of the tired old masculine paradigm. Isolation and aloneness versus support and collaboration, right? That we're trying to work it out on our own, that we're trying to manifest all alone. I'm just going to fill my workshop all by myself. I'm going to work on my business all by myself. I'm going to try to get clients as kind of a lone wolf. So I'll go deeper into that a little bit later, because collaboration is like the antidote of that, even just that mindset. The third mistake that I see women entrepreneurs make is not really a mistake. It's more of a byproduct. It's more of a symptom, is the exhaustion of being always on. Being on, go, 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 go. We are constantly bombarded by our screens, our kids, our partners, our commute, notifications, the world, noise, being in an urban or suburban area. And our need as human beings, as our animal bodies, as actual individuals, our need to be able to reset our nervous system, to slow down, to have quiet time, to turn off our brains, is so much greater than it ever has been before, because we have so much more input than we have ever had in human history. So the exhaustion of always being on and in pursuit versus opening to receiving. And this can include some of the stress response to being always on, includes nitpicking, right? That's oftentimes our critical mind, our habitual habit to criticize others or criticize self is a symptom of that exhaustion. And also we tend to loop on tasks that don't even matter in the long run.
Like I see women just go endlessly obsessing about the colors on their website or the fonts or the this or that. That's like, why are you even doing that? So that's just to be on the lookout of the exhaustion of always being on in pursuit. And just knowing that that is the kind of the fallout of isolation and aloneness. And that when you find yourself being really critical or self-critical or feeling a lot of shame or having thoughts about, I can do this, I can't do this, I'll never be able to do this, or just that comparison, just know, I also want this to kind of nourish you in knowing that that is just a symptom, that that is not you, that is not real, those thoughts are not real. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, you all know this on some deep level, that that is just a symptom of that exhaustion of being always on, because we've been trained to be always on. And then the fourth mistake is undernourishing your vision. And oftentimes it looks like undernourishing your vision with busy work, but not giving yourself time to actually receive deep downloads. That you're not, it's like that whole metaphor of putting the oxygen mask on yourself before others, that your number one business priority, I don't want to use the word should, I would like for your number one business priority to be self-care. And sometimes I'll use the term radical self-care. So I say all of these 4 mistakes or 4 ripple effects as just a foundation that we're moving into this conversation from a place of receiving, from a place of receiving support, from a place of slowing down and resting, from a place of deeply nourishing yourself through yourself and your self-care actions, but also through your connections with others. Everything I'm going to give you today is deeply feminine, deeply relational. I have a business that's in the 6 figures, and I only work 3 days a week. And quite honestly, I only work 3 part-time days per week. How do I do that? Collaboration. We're going to talk about it. So let me know if this is kind of resonating with you. These 4 mistakes, you don't have to out yourself, but if the 4 mistakes, if there's any part of those, isolation and aloneness, efforting versus doing, exhaustion of being always on, undernourishing yourself, if there's anything that resonates with you about that, you can just type into the chat box, or maybe you see this in other women, your mom or your sisters. Awesome. Great. Thanks, Beth. Thanks, Polly. Gorgeous. Danielle, Valencia. Yeah, Valencia, you're great with the self-care. Valencia is totally on top of her self-care. Hey, awesome. Yeah. Yep, we've seen it all. Okay. The other thing I wanted to say is that nothing is more devastating than putting your heart and soul into your teachings, only to arrive to your workshop or your course or your program that's much smaller than expected. Like nothing's more devastating than be like, I'm going to birth this new thing out into the world, only to find that it just goes wah, wah, wah. To spend countless hours on your carefully created program, only to watch it sitting there collecting dust. So I would love for everyone here, every woman entrepreneur, to please stop spending time alone trying to figure it all out. That will not lead to your greatest success. To please stop efforting hard and doing rather than attracting. That will not lead to your ultimate expansive potential. And please stop trying to fill your workshops and your courses and your programs all alone as well. That's where collaboration and tribal marketing come in, okay? Yes, Jane, awesome. Thanks for reiterating the isolation and aloneness. Yeah. So I just want to point out that all of the industry leaders, Maria Forleo, Kane Minkus, the Shift Network, I actually was able to meet I totally forgot his name, I need to Google it, the CEO of the Shift Network. I met him a couple months ago, billion-dollar business. Bill Barron, Charlotte Jacobs, Danielle Leslie, Lisa Sasevich, Katarina Rando, all of the industry leaders fill their workshops and their programs through tribal marketing. Yes, they might do Facebook ads. Yes, they do email marketing. Yes, they go out and do speaking as a way of connecting live with audiences, because that is very powerful. It's a very powerful path to develop the speaking components of your business. But every single one of them, because I have collaborated with most of them as a partner, every single one of them engages in tribal marketing as their number one marketing tool. And the interesting thing about all those people that I mentioned is that most of them are business coaches in some way, shape, or form. And the collaboration piece is not the first thing that they teach. And I almost wish that it was, because yeah, I would like to see more collaboration before people go into burnout and make themselves sick. And, it's like interesting, a lot of these women that I've spoken to in the industry, Charlotte, Lisa, Maria, Danielle, a lot of them have stories of getting to a certain level of success, but that level of success actually making them sick. And that they had to go through a period of revising how they operated and become more collaborative to eventually not only get out of the stress that was making them so sick, but actually rise up and reach the multiple 6-figure or 7-figure or 8-figure level. That collaboration piece is the key to dissolving so many glass ceilings. And it is also the key to a really balanced work-life balance. So all of these people are engaging in collaboration as their main way of reaching new clients, new followers, new audiences. So with that being said, during our time together, I have a lot for you. I'm going to give you my best awesome stuff in the time we have. For those of you that want more, I will let you know how we can work together further, but I'm not going to do any selling on this call. This is total content. We're going to open up to Q&A a little bit later, so please write down your questions. I will take them a little bit later on. And I also, because of my little allergies, I've got a little sniffle, so I'm going to be blowing my nose right in front of you is what I'm going to be doing, if that's okay. And I want to encourage you in the name of self-care, drink lots of water, drink your tea. I'm going to take a big gulp right now, and then we're going to move on. All right, my beautiful babes. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit more about this lone wolf paradigm. Letting go of the lone wolf paradigm. I mentioned before, it's a tired old paradigm. That we are in a time, this is like the best time in history, well, in recent history, to be a woman. And to be a woman entrepreneur. Right now is the best time to build your empire, to build your queendom. Right now is a time for women to link arms together, to open to opportunities, to open to clients, to open to prosperity, and not for ourselves, but to open each other to opportunities, to open each other to clients, and to open each other to prosperity. And now is the time for women to master the art of resting and receiving. So my big super why I'm passionate about what I do is really resting on the foundation of women showing up to their businesses fully resourced. I want to invite you to show up to your business as a fully resourced woman. So that could be that you have like a weekly, what I call a weekly heart check or head check calls with other women. I have 4 women that I have a phone call with. A couple of them I have a phone call every other week. Karen and Paget, we talk every other week. And then Christelle and Amanda, we talk every single week. And I've been doing this for 7 years with all 4 of them separate 4 calls, these weekly calls, where I know that no matter what is happening in my life, with my child, with my partner, with my business, with my health, that I've got these incredible women that I can share anything with. And it's also a fabulous place for me to just get a heart check if I'm kind of in an emotional tangle, to get a head check if like something's not going right in my business, and to just have another second, third, fourth, fifth pair of eyes on what I'm doing. I can also have a place to process shadow material so that when I show up to my business, it's like all of that is all cleaned out and I can show up as a grounded, centered woman leader. So I recommend that you, as one of your homeworks, you could write this down as homework or home play, that you maybe reach out to some not clients, some colleagues or friends that you can set up a regular heart check, head check call with. So deeply important. There's this saying, I don't remember where I've heard it, bring your mess to your mentors and bring your message to the masses. So when you can bring your mess to other people privately, your mentors, your therapist, your coach, your friends, if they're a yes to that, then you can show up and bring your message to the masses. There's not shadow material getting in the way of that. It allows you to come back to center and to move forward in a deeply centered way. And I also recommend that you have at least one place to celebrate your wins, So as women, we're really good at celebrating what went wrong. We're really good at sharing about what didn't go right, about our self-criticism of ourselves and others. It's very easy for us to kind of go into blame. This is part of our human condition, but just also as women, we tend to be really self-critical. And it's easier to remember what didn't go right in our business, or what didn't go right in our income last year, or what didn't go right last month or last week. And to actually give yourself an actual tangible place to celebrate your wins, it is possible that you will see business growth just from this one piece, just from this one shift of celebrating your wins. I started to do this. It's like when Oprah talks about her gratitude journal, how her life changed when she started to keep a gratitude journal. There is something about retraining not only your mind, but your physiology and therefore your energy that changes how you show up. It changes how other people perceive you. It changes your attractiveness. I'm going to see if I can actually show you. I have a big desktop Mac computer, but I'm going to see if I can show you my wall of wins is right there. And that is just my physical recording of like everything that went right. Every time I look over there, I'm like, oh my God, that's just since January. Those are all the things I did that worked. So I have a Facebook group. All my clients are part of a Facebook group together. And I encourage them all the time. Like when you have a win, when you have a success, share it in the Facebook group, be witnessed, learn how to use community. Learn how to utilize community. So it's a skill set. Utilizing community is a skill set. Community begets community. So for example, like I said, all of my business coaching clients, they're all part of a Facebook group, but they're also all part of a mastermind circle. And I notice that the women who come to circle every 2 weeks, no matter what, see the biggest growth in their businesses. This circle has cocooned women to grow their businesses to 6 figures and beyond. There are lots of women in the circle who are playing at the 6-figure level and the multiple 6-figure level. There are women in the circle who built their wealth to 7 figures. And it's just such a rich place to just come and surround yourself with other women who are on the same page, that are also solution-oriented, that are positivity-oriented, and that have made a commitment of support, that no matter how messy you are or how just like, I don't know how to do the next thing, that they're there with open hearts and like, hey, totally been there, total empathy. There's something really powerful about that. So I recommend that you find a women's circle or set up regular phone calls or teas with people that are supportive, that are positively oriented, solution oriented. These T's and circles are not a place for criticism. We get plenty of that. You can get direct feedback and direct feedback from your coach or your therapist. But when it comes to these calls, when it comes to Women's Circle, it's not that we can't be honest with each other, but that the underlying intention of utilizing community and utilizing Circle is coming from a place of support and holding each other in highest intentions and prayers. And that is also a practice. Let's talk a little bit about what collaboration can do for your business. So during this class, we're going to be talking about having the conversations that need to happen to build community and tribe, to run your business in a way that's profitable. So this is beyond the calls and the circles that I was just talking about. Ultimately, how to create your Queen's Council to construct a team of cheerleaders and advocates that will help you grow your business without you even having to lift a finger. So collaboration, what collaboration can do for your business? It can grow your email list. I'll give you examples a little bit later on. It can, I mean, having an email list is like gold. I earned like $30,000 with one email that I sent last year. An email list is a really, really powerful part of your business. I'll go into that a little bit more. Collaboration can help you get speaking gigs, right? My clients are women who are out there speaking all over the Bay Area. Some of them are speaking all over the country. Some of them speak internationally. And the best way to connect with speaking opportunities is through other people that are speakers, to actually build relationships with them, to connect and say, hey, would you be willing to connect me with other organizers, with that conference you spoke at last year? Would you be willing to connect me with retreat leaders? Would you be willing to connect me with your favorite audience that you spoke to? Is the most powerful way, rather than like cold calling conferences and meetups, is not necessarily the best use of your time. Collaboration is the best way to fill your workshops and programs. I mentioned Charlotte Jacobs, Maria Forleo, Kay Minkus, the Shift Network, Bill Barron, Daniel Leslie, Lisa Sasevich, etc. All of them have at least one intro event, either live or virtual, each year. Thrive Academy with Charlotte Jacobs and Jesse Corin have 3 intro events each year. And the number one way that they fill that intro event is through tribal marketing. They've got a whole team of cheerleaders, including me. I've been one of their partners for about 10 years. And we tell our audiences about their upcoming intro. Like, hey guys, I'm going to Charlotte and Jesse's upcoming Client Attraction Summit. I'm going to be there. It's going to be an awesome networking opportunity. There's going to be like a couple hundred people there with you. It's super positive. Here's what you're going to learn. Here's the link to join us. That is just such a powerful way to get that like street cred of other awesome people saying, hey, this event is going to rock and you should come. And here's what you're going to get out of it. That is like literally the number one thing you can do to build your business to 6 figures, even 7 figures, is that one piece. I'm going to break it down a little bit more later, how that works, but just that one piece of getting other people to promote your workshops for you, huge. It will completely change your business. It will completely rearrange your insides in a way that's really delicious. The other awesome thing about collaboration, so what the other things that collaboration can do for your business is it's kind of built-in accountability. It's like if you're creating something and then you've got all these other people on board saying, yes, awesome, let's collaborate. We want to support you. Let's support each other. Then it's like you have a little fire under your booty to actually do what you said you would do this year. That if you're rolling out some webinars or some workshops or some courses or some programs or some speaking, that you are conscientious, you're mindful of your schedule. I don't want you to overload your schedule. That's actually really huge. Build spaciousness into your schedule, but that you actually show up, you create, you begin, middle, and end each of the projects that you said that you would do in the coming year. So built-in accountability, because you've got these other people on your team and on your court supporting you. And then the other piece too, there's a whole piece around philanthropy. And I'm going to speak to it from two ways. One is one of my clients, Connie Viveros. She's a coaching client. She's part of my circle. You may have seen her speak at Femme Talks. She's an incredible woman. She has a business as a coach, but Connie has also created several foundations, several charities. One charity that she's a part of builds schools in East Africa for girls, where previously there were not schools past a certain age for girls. Now about 10,000 girls have access to schools in East Africa. She's also created a foundation right here in the Bay Area for underserved women, women of color, women minorities, and gives them a career and entrepreneurship training so that they can actually build a life that is beyond what they've been previously prepared for, and opportunities that they didn't have access to before. Just really incredible, life-changing work all the way in East Africa and right here in our own backyard. And she uses collaboration in the same techniques that I will go into in terms of using collaboration for your business. She uses to gain awareness about her foundations and to raise money for her foundations. In fact, right here in the Femme Talks community, she raised thousands and thousands of dollars just this past year for her foundations right here in this community of women. So collaboration is also a really great way. If you have a charity, if you have a foundation, an organization in you that's wanting to be birthed, take notes, because collaboration is such a powerful path to building that dream and making that vision into a reality. The other example I want to give about philanthropy is Amanda. Amanda is also one of my coaching clients. She's a dear friend, and she's also part of the Business Mastermind Circle. She has a 6-figure business as a medicine woman. Just really incredible. So many women right here are living so beyond the status quo of the starving healer doesn't have to be a thing. Making money as a medicine woman and being trusted and revered, it's absolutely possible. You can have the most woo business vision title you could be as let your freak flag fly. Let's say that 10 times fast. Be as woo as you want. And yes, you can actually have a very successful 6-figure business and beyond. And one of the ways that she got to that level was through collaboration. I'll be breaking that down a little bit later. But because of the prosperity that she's been able to build in her business, her lineage, the lineages that she's been ordained as a medicine woman in, are Native American lineages. This has just been part of her life for decades. And when Standing Rock was happening, it was near and dear to her heart. Like, it was immensely important for her to be able to support these incredible people that were taking a stand for what is good and what is right, and taking a stand for their land and taking a stand for their people. And she was able to make a sizable donation to Standing Rock. And I just wanted to speak to that, because every woman here, we're not just building our businesses for ourselves. We're building our businesses because we want to touch lives and we want to serve our clients, but we're also building our businesses for our children. We're building our business so that we can give back. If women healers, if money and prosperity was in the hands of women healers, the political candidates that we would fund and nominate, the organizations that we would contribute to, the education that we would fund and move forward, we'd have a completely different world. So collaboration is a passion for me, because it is the key to women linking arms, rising up, expanding, massively expanding our ability to prosper, and then stepping into roles of leadership or funding the right people that we believe in, that share our values, that share our ideals, to step into positions of leadership. So I want to paint a picture of the future. I want you to paint a picture of the future, and then we're going to go into the curriculum here. I want you to just take a moment to close your eyes. Go ahead and close your eyes. And I want you to just imagine that you are living a fabulous life, a life where it is easy to live in the Bay Area, a life where you can actually thrive here in the Bay Area, a life where you feel nourished and cared for by your business. Imagine that you have the support of a tribe dedicated to your work getting out into the world. Imagine that it's easy to fill your workshops and your programs. You have a relaxed schedule that allows for downtime and family time, and that is also profitable, and that you have space, you have spaciousness to turn your ideas into money-making structures. Yes? So I want you to just breathe into that. Just breathe into that in your body. In fact, why don't you just take a moment to stand up and take a power pose. I'm going to stand up with you. So go ahead and stand up. I'm going to take a power pose, and I want you to just feel what that feels like in your body. It may not all feel positive. There might be places that feel a little heavy or a little bit untrusting or a little bit, some shadow might come up. That's completely fine. We're taking this power pose just to notice what you feel. When you imagine leading an easeful, prosperous, spacious, relaxed, and supported life in your business. And just notice what that feels like. I'm just going to breathe into that. Thank you so much for playing with me. You can go ahead, and we're just being brief here. Let's go ahead and open your eyes, and you can go ahead and sit down and just, what does it feel like to have that? I would love to get some shares, to go ahead and just chat in your chat box. And just what did that feel like when you were imagining that, when you were in that power pose? Just kind of get into the somatic here since we're in front of our screen. Sylvia, it feels exciting, feels great, feeds my desire for more live presentations. Ooh, that's awesome, Beth, because you're an awesome presenter. Natural and happy, Valencia says, nurturing. Gorgeous, Paula, that's awesome. We all deserve nurturing. Felt like total comfort. Yes, like you get to rest into the bosom of the goddess. Natural, a little scary, says Jane. Thank you for your honesty. Yeah, totally. Anxious about collaborating. The power pose, erase that. Oh, fantastic. That makes me really happy. Feels good, and yet a little of my head going offline. Yep, that's totally fine. I do that too sometimes when we get into the imaginal. It's like, what are we doing? I don't know. We're going to get practical here, ladies. I promise. Thank you so much. Oh, beautiful. Alina says, very familiar. Love the power pose. Gorgeous. Yeah, I love the power pose too. Let me get a sip of water while I ask this question. How might your life or business be different if you had a tribe of people out there happily promoting your business for you? How might your business be different if you had a tribe of people out there happily promoting your business for you? I'm going to take a sip of water while I read the chat. Awesome. Scroll through here. Awesome. Paula said, never thought of my business taking care of me. Great idea. Sylvia says, life-changing. Terry, much more ease. Danielle, so much joy. Vivian, so nice to see you, Vivian. Less stress, more joy and ease. Jane, ease. I love that. Paula, life-changing. Pat, with a tribe, more daring, more abundant, more fun and creative, going beyond, more edges. Yes. More aligned with my natural self, says Janet. Fun. Celebration and delight, ease and contentment, joy and excitement. Valencia, it would be the way I know it is meant to be, fun, ease, joy, and support. It would be more abundant and easeful, says Liz. Gorgeous. Oh, awesome. Thanks for playing with me. Sarah, so nice to hear from you. Having tribe, more fun, expansive ease. Awesome. Connect and mutual feeding within sisterhood. Yas, 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 yas. Okay. Let's dive in. So here's what I'm going to cover. We haven't even started yet. Here's what I'm going to cover. We're going to talk about some collaborative models that are your next lucrative and fulfilling step, the key to doubling and even tripling your business, how to build your Queen's Council and build trust and intimacy with entrepreneurs and community leaders so that they send clients your way. We'll talk about that a little bit later towards the end. We're going to talk about how to use tribal marketing to reach way beyond your current audience and establish yourself as the trusted go-to leader in your field. And we're going to talk about how collaboration can lead to speaking and publicity opportunities, as well as steady client income. I'm also going to talk about the number one tool that's so easy. You can literally immediately start doing this. The number one tool that wealthy women healers use to grow their email lists and attract clients. All right, so I was mentioning earlier that I'm a business coach. And my genius is that I help women structure their businesses to give them the spaciousness and lifestyle that they want. I help you fill your workshops and your programs in relaxed, feminine ways. I help women to touch more hearts and grow their following, to position your business to become the go-to leader in your field. And I think my big genius is helping women leverage their time with holistic systems to expand past your glass ceilings and attract higher paying clients. As I mentioned, I have a business in the six figures. I only work 3 part-time days a week. And people sometimes will message me or call me right before I have an event. And they're like, Jessica, I know you're busy, but I have a quick question. And I'm like, I'm not busy. I just got a pedicure. I'm hanging out with my dogs. I'm watching some Netflix. I just took a walk in nature. And I really want that for all of you. So I mentioned before that all of my clients are part of a business mastery circle. I actually have a couple different circles. One circle is for women that are it's a little more of a cocoon for women who are kind of just starting out or building a new message. And I have one that's for very established women. In fact, let's see. How do I do a screen share? Here we go. I'll just share this with you. Here are some of the lovely ladies that are in my circle. And the intention for the circle is that not only do we come together in mastermind circles, right? I was talking earlier about the importance of every week or every other week having someone or someones to connect with so that you have a second, third, fifth, eighth pair of eyes on what you're creating, that you have a place to share, you have a place to process, but also coming together in these circles, the outcome of that, the ripple effect of that is true relationship building. There's something about coming together and sitting in front of the fireplace, or coming together via Zoom and lighting candles together. Or with my business mastery circles, once a month, I host a networking lunch, women connecting over food in an unrushed way, where these women are coming together, they're connecting, they're following up with each other to really understand how they can refer clients to each other, how they can support each other. This is where I see my clients filling their workshops, getting speaking gigs, and growing their email lists. And it starts with relationship building, collaboration and connection, where they're building partnerships and collaborations to elevate their businesses. And that's what I want for you. I want you to build partnerships and collaborations that elevate your business, that you are coming together with highly connected leaders and influencers who will promote you and refer clients to you. And I'm going to tell you exactly how to do that in a way that's heartfelt, that feels natural, that feels relational, that's just, hey, we're just grabbing a bite to eat and connecting. I also, I want you to just take a moment. I'm going to go back to our little group view here. And I don't know if you're able to put it on the gallery view where you can see everybody, but I want you to just take a moment to look at the eyes and faces of all of the other women on this call with you. Liz and Beth and Pat and Terry and Sarah and Jane and Danielle and Alina and Valencia and Ginny and Janet. And there's more, but I can't see them right now. Sylvia. Anyway, all these amazing women. And I want you to just notice or just really understand that every single woman here is a gateway. Every single woman here knows a handful or dozens or hundreds or thousands of people that would love to know about you, right? So it's easy as women to sometimes show up in the world because of what we've been programmed to do with our arms crossed, right? Like, who does she think she is? You know, like we sometimes have these go-to patterns of the way that women connect with each other. I don't really see this a lot in my world, and this is not how I approach the world. But if you think back to when you were in like high school or junior high or college, or even as adults, sometimes you see women just being really catty to each other, and we come to each other with judgment and like perceive ourselves as being better than or less than. There's a lot of comparison that women tend to do, and it truly gets in the way. The sister wound really gets in the way of us actually seeing each other, to really see each other as gateways, that you're all healers. You'll have clients, you have email lists. There's women in my circle who have email lists of 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, 50,000 subscribers. Imagine if one of those women sent an email to their list of 20,000 subscribers about your workshop, right? So you, through the gateways of each other, you can reach so far beyond your current network to new clients and new opportunities, to get speaking gigs, to grow your email list, to fill your workshops. Does that make sense? Does connecting with other women over food or tea or even heartfelt phone chat it can be such a delicious engagement, right? It can be fun, but also lead naturally to mutual support and even opportunities. Does that make sense? That connecting with other women over food or tea or heartfelt phone chats can be delicious, and it can also naturally, without pushing, without forcing, lead to mutual support and even opportunities. Does that make sense to you? Let me know if that resonates with you. And if you have questions, I will probably address some of those as we go through the content here, but you can bring those questions to the Q&A a little bit later. So awesome, great. Terry says totally. Beth, awesome, great. Okay, great. I always like to check in to make sure things are resonating. Ursula, Jan, and Sumati are 3 women who are part of my circles, and they all have bodies of work around sacred sexuality, around intimacy, around open relationship, around alternative sexuality. Just they're doing work that can be seen as very taboo. And yet all of them have carved out these really inspiring businesses, right? They're living way beyond the status quo. And they all met each other networking in the FemTalks community, networking in my circles. And they all decided to join together to create monthly meetups. Like there was just a natural resonance between Ursula, Jan, and Sumati, these incredible women. And they were like, I see you. Ooh, I see you. Okay, we all need to come together. We need to weave our communities together. And now they're collaborating, they're bringing their communities together, they're doing meetups where they're normalizing the conversation around women, around sex, around empowerment, around intimacy. And it's really incredible. It's really powerful what they're building. This next year, I'm launching a speaker series. It's actually a panel. We're coming together 5 days in a row with these panel discussions, a Wealthy Women of Color interview series. And I'm collaborating with Mevu, Kimberly, Cindy Padilla, Idalina Kirkins, like all these incredible women of color, Maria Christina Owl, all these incredible women of color. It's just like, I already know them. I have this list of 20 women that I already know. They're successful, these incredible, wealthy women of color. And I just know them just from being out in the world and networking, from being a community leader. A lot of these women come to my events. Over the years, I've just gotten to know them. There's no pressure. It was just like, oh, you're cool, you're cool, you're cool, awesome. And now I have all these incredible women to call upon and to just say, hey, do you want to be a part of this? And so far, everybody's been a yes. I texted. I was like, hey, want to do this thing? Hey, want to do this thing? And everybody said yes. And it's going to be an incredible opportunity for all of us and a way to normalize the conversation about women and wealth, but also women of color and wealth and what's possible for everybody. So collaboration, man, it's awesome. I want to talk a little bit, we're going to switch gears. I know I keep going back to this lone wolf piece, but it is so deeply ingrained that women who think they're collaborative are actually, it is possible to unconsciously still be really ingrained in the lone wolf paradigm. So let's talk about the fallout of doing it alone. This is really, this is a piece that I just really want to just dive into, and then we're going to go into more of the content. But this is super, super important, because a statistic that really blew my socks off: the largest growing population of homeless in the Bay Area is women over 60. The largest growing population of homeless in the Bay Area is women over 60. That really breaks my heart. And I also understand, just, even just looking at nature, the life of the lone wolf is a dangerous one. Holding on to your territory without the help of a pack can prove deadly. Difficulty hunting: lone wolves will often hunt smaller game and become scavengers. And I think that metaphor of the actual lone wolf out there just kind of scavenging, it definitely lends to some of what I see in the entrepreneurial world. When I was 2 years old, my mom said that for the first time, I put my hands on my hips and I yelled at her, "I do it myself." And that my whole life has been a spiritual practice of trying to break free of my own lone wolf tendencies. I grew up as a competitive athlete. When I was 18 years old, I had a shaved head and a six-pack abs, and I was like deeply in my masculine. I grew up in a military family as well, and I was a go-getter. I had a straight A student. I achieved everything I wanted to achieve. I went to the top dance school in New York City. People come from all over the world to go to that dance school. Super high achieving. And I did everything myself. If I needed something done, if I needed a box moved, if I needed a shelf installed, like, I just did everything myself. And that worked for me to a point. In my business, when I started my business, I can look back and see that I was suffering from the 4 common mistakes that women make: efforting versus doing, right? Instead of resting and attracting. Which really I was blinded by overwhelm and really stuck in a small box that I couldn't get out of. Isolation and aloneness versus support and collaboration. I was trying to do everything myself, filled my practice by myself, filled my workshops by myself, with really piddly results. I was totally in the exhaustion of always being on. I definitely fell into that category of nitpicking and looping and critical thinking in a way that felt inescapable. Like, I just thought that was just me. Like, that's just me. I'm just like that. And I was severely undernourishing my vision. The turning point for me was that I became extremely ill. It was like adrenal burnout, led to a compromised immune system, led to this, led to that, led to autoimmune disorders, led to having shingles 10 times because my immune system was so compromised. And the turning point for me was really around collaboration and sisterhood. I started to run women's circles out of my home because I knew that I just needed to sit in deep soul circle with a variety of solution-oriented women to get out of the box that I was in, out of the cave that I was in. And I needed to surround myself with women who had energy that also matched where I wanted to go. And when I started engaging in really surrounding myself and my business with women, with incredible inspirational women, and really started to focus on like deep, deep self-care, I had my first $5,000 month, and I had my first $10,000 month, and I started having $20,000 months. And then there was still some up and down, but then it started to become consistent. And now my business is entirely built on collaboration and relationship building. So the fallout of trying to build businesses without collaboration or the benefit of perspective creates layers of self-imposed glass ceilings. I see women in the coaching industry, like there is an epidemic of autoimmune disease, adrenal fatigue, debilitating adrenal fatigue, cancer, irritability that gets in the way of partnerships, that gets in the way of relationship with children, women that get so busy in their businesses that they're so busy they can't even invest time in self-care. They stop going to women's circles, they stop going to their dance classes, they stop going to the gym. So many women in this industry gain weight while they're growing their businesses, or lose weight. It's an interesting correlation. So even if you can't relate with any of this, I would love to just at least have you raise your hand if you agree that the era of the lone wolf mindset needs to be gone, needs to go. We need to all agree to be done with it. Yeah. I'm noticing the messages in the chat box. Awesome, awesome. Beautiful. Yes, needs to be in the past. Thanks, Sylvia. Agreed. Sisterhood is rising. I've got the same story. Autoimmune. Gorgeous. Thank you, Alina, for sharing. Yeah, beautiful. Yes. And it's nice to be part of different communities as well. What I love about Alina's part of another wonderful community that I've known for a long time. You know, we need multiple layers of support, different kinds of support, entrepreneurship, spiritual community. It's great if those things can come together, but you know, we need the layers. We need the layers. So I implore you to make collaboration your main business focus because you can reach a much wider audience. I'm going to go ahead and just paste this from my notes right into the chat box. You can see it, put it on a piece of paper and stick it on your mirror. You could reach a much wider audience through other people's networks than you could ever reach by yourself. So say bye-bye to doing it all alone. I just burped, sorry. Oh, goodness. All right, so I'm going to go back to Amanda real quick. I have a few different women to kind of spotlight. Amanda, like I mentioned, has a six-figure business. She's a medicine woman. She used to do monthly medicine ceremonies. And one of the cool things she did, take notes, because this is a great way to weave collaboration into your business. What she ended up doing is that every month that she had a medicine ceremony, she opened it up for a guest teacher. So she kind of made this spreadsheet, January, February, March, April, all of the months. She chose the theme for that month as it correlated with the seasons and certain things that were happening in spiritual calendars. And then she reached out to me and other women facilitators that she knew and said, hey, I would love to have you be a guest teacher or guest facilitator at one of my opening ceremonies. Here are the dates, here are the topics. Go ahead and just put your name in wherever you feel called to put your name in. And then the agreement was we got to show up and represent ourselves and lead a delicious facilitation, which potentially can lead to new clients, although we weren't salesy or pushy. It was just a really great opportunity. And then her ask, the other side of that, is that she asked us to promote the medicine ceremony for her. So I did her December ceremony. So I promoted it out to my email list, just saying, hey ladies, here's an incredible opportunity. And just, you know, a really heartfelt invitation. I'm going to be there. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's what you can expect. And she said that it was her best attended ceremony ever. She actually had to turn people away because it's a live ceremony. There's only room for so many people. But because I sent my one email to my email list, and I don't even have a terribly big email list in terms of like the industry and people having tens of thousands. Like, I don't have an email list of tens of thousands, but I sent an email that was just super authentic and heartfelt, and her ceremony completely sold out like that. I also wanted to speak to, every month I do a meetup group called FemTalks, and we've been meeting for 10 years every single month. And every single month, 60 to 80 women attend that event. And the way that I get 60 to 80 women to that event is that I'm not promoting the event. I mean, I do promote it, but like the women who are speaking at the event promote it. Sometimes I have vendors, they promote it. Got other women in the community that just really believe in it and they just kind of organically promote it. So any given month, there's anywhere from 3 to sometimes 7 other women promoting that meetup. And that's how Femme Talks is constantly growing. There's constantly new people attending. And that's how I get 60 to 80 women in the room every single month. So I hope this is generating ideas for your business. 100% of women that I know that build businesses to a steady 6 figures or 7 figures are engaging in collaboration. 100%. I cannot think of a single person who's built their business to, you could build a business to 6 figures without collaboration. It would take a lot of hard work and it would be very hard to sustain. You would notice dips up and down, like just kind of like hovering right underneath that number. But to get to that just easeful, like I've just got, money coming in every month in a consistent way, collaboration really is the key. One of my mentors, Danielle Leslie, this is another example, so take notes because you might be able to apply this to your business. Danielle Leslie made $1 million in 1 month with her online program a couple months ago. I saw her send an email. I've been a client of hers. She's beautiful. She's this young woman in her 30s. She's a woman of color, and she teaches people how to build their online courses. And the year before that, I think she had made $1 million in a year. Like her business is just like off the hook, crazy. But the way that she does that, the way that she got to that point, it took a few years to get to that point, but even so, that's pretty awesome. Her number one way of promoting her online courses, which is how she makes her money, is that she gets other Instagram influencers, people who have followings of thousands of people on Instagram that are also entrepreneurs, that also have audiences similar to the kind of people that would want to learn from Danielle. And she connects with them and says, hey, I have this course, I have this webinar. This webinar is completely free. And if it resonates with your audience, I would love for you to share it on your Instagram. And so these people with these followings of thousands of people, she'll get maybe like a dozen or more of these people saying, hey, check out Danielle Leslie's webinar. Hundreds of people show up to her webinar, and then Danielle can sell her program. So even though technically she's making money with her online program, it's not some magic thing that people are just finding her on the internet and then she's making $1 million. She's collaborating and reaching networks beyond her own. And those people are giving her shout outs and saying, hey, check this out. This is valuable. So there's still this like high touch piece, this collaboration piece. That is the key to getting people into Danielle's sphere, which is positive and generous and gorgeous. And of course, people are going to want to buy from her, but they're not buying from her because they found her on Teachable or they found her website. They're buying from her because they're at her webinar, which is live. They're feeling her energy. She's building trust and intimacy with them. So by the time she says, hey, here's what I have to offer you, make a purchase, people are like, yeah, that's awesome. The final thing, I'm going to give you a lot more content. The final example I want to give to you about this is a woman named Susan Yada. Susan Yada is a Facebook ads expert. She helps corporations, organizations, big companies with their Facebook ads. And the trap that a lot of women entrepreneurs fall into, they're like, I'm going to create this thing and I'm going to like make lots of money because I'm just going to do a lot of Facebook ads and get people to my thing. I'm not going to go hugely into why Facebook ads don't work for a lot of people. Facebook ads can be great. Like if you've built your business to the point where you're making enough money to hire a Facebook ads firm to do your ads for you, then great. Facebook ads are going to work really well for you. Otherwise, you're going to be spending a lot of money on like very tiny little, almost no conversion rates. So Susan Yada is a Facebook ads expert. Like that's what she does. She helps big companies make lots of money with Facebook ads. And yet she's still out there networking. She's still out there speaking. In the fall, she's actually going to lead a training call for my clients, which is like a small, intimate call. It's not like she's speaking in front of an audience of thousands of people, but she's like a total yes to this like small, intimate little cocoon. And she's still having one-on-one collaboration calls with people, because that is the way that she builds her business. That is the way that she lands these big clients. And it's worth it because the financial outcome allows her to have this really profitable business. So even the Facebook ads expert engages in collaboration and high touch feminine connection, speaking, networking, and having one-on-one collaboration calls, which I call the Queen's Teas. And I'm going to not tease like tease, but tease like sipping tea. So I'll teach you how to have a Queen's Tea a little bit later. Sometimes women hold themselves back from collaborating because they've gotten burned in the past, right? So my question to you is, have you gotten burned in the past? Who here has collaborated and it didn't go well? And if you don't mind sharing what went wrong, if you can sum it up in like a sentence. Who's gotten burned in the past? You can say yes or no. Who here has collaborated and it didn't go well? That's the same question. And if you don't mind sharing, like what went wrong? Like they didn't hold up their end of the bargain. There was a money discrepancy. What was it? I'd love to just hear a couple of shares in the chat box. Oh, I can see some women typing. Okay, great. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Terry. Yeah, they didn't hold up their end. Totally. Yeah, absolutely. I will speak to that just for a second while there's more shares coming through. Collaboration, it's like when you show up for your clients or you show up for a speaking gig, you're showing up in your leadership, right? It's like even in my business mastery circle, it's like when the women show up to the lunch or the women show up to the networking circle, yeah, in a way that we show up very casually so we can really be ourselves. We don't have to like be our polished networking selves because it is a learning lab, right? So there's places to make mistakes and not be perfect. And that's actually great. And that makes it really safe for women. But it's like you're showing up to circle or to lunch or to a collaboration conversation in your leadership, where it's like you're kind of assuming that either you're a gateway for the other women or they're a gateway for you. I also see women in the circle hiring each other all the time. We've got a number of business coaches in my business mastery circle, and people hire them all the time. I've got women who are my clients who are also the clients of other women in the circle, and it's perfect. It's great. It's actually very complementary. But when you're coming to a collaboration conversation, there's a way that you also have to be in your leadership, and sometimes it means that there's follow-up. In fact, a lot of people that do a lot of collaborating, like big companies like Thrive Academy or Bill Barron, some of these bigger entrepreneurs, they actually have a collaboration manager who helps to do some of the reach out once the agreement has been made. That helps because there is sometimes some reminders that need to happen. Hey, you mentioned you were going to send an email on this date. Is that still going to happen? So I just wanted to speak to that. Beth said, totally got burned. What went wrong? I felt exploited. Even though I got paid, I was considered a cog in the wheel versus a person. Yeah, sometimes we get into our businesses and we kind of treat each other like things, and it's really not okay. That's kind of where that overwhelm and criticism comes in that I was talking about before, where it's like sometimes we get so fixated that we go into criticism and then we actually end up having judgments of others or treating other people that we're collaborating like not as the incredible humans and gateways that they are. Let's see, they oversold the benefits, what they would do, got into it without enough due diligence. That's happened several times, right? Where someone's like, you're going to get 1,000 million clients out of collaborating with me. And really that might not be the reality. Yeah, the message was misleading. The event was confusing, not enough warm up or intimacy building. Yeah, totally. Friend paid for a speaker for her virtual summit who didn't promote to her followers. Yeah, totally. Awesome. Great. It's good to kind of get this stuff out into the open as well, because it happens, totally happens. Collaboration nightmares. We should make a reality show. But we won't, because we're going to move on. So some of the so I talked about the kind of entrepreneurial mistakes, like the energetic mistakes. I want to talk about the actual collaboration mistakes that sometimes lead to these horrible outcomes. So take notes, so that if you're ever falling into one of these, or you're in a conversation that feels like it's going in this direction, that you can be like, no. So collaboration mistakes. The first one is coming to collaborations as what I call a hungry ghost. There's a Zen Buddhism term called the hungry ghost. And it's like anytime you're coming to a conversation, whether it's a sales conversation or it's a speaking gig or a collaboration conversation, from a place of neediness or scarcity or urgency. Neediness, scarcity, or urgency. So you can sometimes feel that when you're connecting with someone else. You can feel where they're coming from, and just know that they can also feel where you're coming from. So just kind of have your eye on when you're coming to a conversation as a hungry ghost. And this just feeds back into radical self-care. Before you have a queen's tea, before you go to a networking lunch, before you have a speaking gig, before you have a sales conversation, nourish yourself. Take a walk in nature, take a bath, do whatever you need to do to fill yourself up so that you can show up in your heart from a place of service, etc. The second mistake that I see women make is making last-minute requests for collaboration. This has probably happened to you, and I actually consider it a black hat practice, meaning I think it should be an industry no-no. This may have happened to you. This happens to me all the time, that I will get a Facebook message from somebody or an email from somebody saying, hey, and sometimes it's someone I don't even really know, that's, hey, my workshop is coming up in a few days. Would you help me spread the word? And it's like, first of all, I don't really know you. Second of all, I'm promoting my own things right now, or I'm in kid mode, or I'm not even at my computer. And like, why did... It lands as a little bit of a amateur move. It makes me not see them as a community leader. It does have me go a little bit into my judgments of like, why did you wait until the last minute? Like, why are you last minute filling this workshop? It's one thing for you to have a workshop where there are people involved in it and you're like, hey, let's rally together to do some last minute promotions to fill the room. But those people are already enrolled. They're already in a relationship with that event. They're already in a relationship with you. But to just kind of out of the blue, have someone be like, hey, last minute request, help spread the word. It's not effective. It lands as spammy and impersonal. And it's just, I would love for everyone to just stop doing that. So that's all I'll say about that. The third mistake is that I see women making the mistake of collaborating and sharing profits instead of sharing contacts. So let me give you an example. A few years ago, I did a webinar interview series where every month I would interview an expert, someone who was an expert around marketing or an expert around branding. And these were wonderful people, and it was a delight. It was so much fun. It was so great to showcase these incredible people. My audience got to learn things. And the agreement that we had was, hey, let's create a webinar. You promote it. I'll promote it. We're just going to make it free, or I think it was very low cost. It was like $20 or free. We're both going to promote it. So both of our audiences will be on the webinar. We get to give them some awesome value. And at the end of the webinar, we both come away with the contact list. We both come away, and then we can follow up with people in a non-spammy way and say, hey, I have a free gift for you, or come to my workshop or whatever. It was just a way of like, they're already interested in the topic. They get to have intimacy and trust with us because they're having this webinar with us. And instead of trying to be like, okay, let's charge money and then we're going to split 50% of the profits. And then sometimes it just, that might amount to a few hundred or a few $1,000s, but to come away with that list of contacts leads to potentially thousands and thousands of dollars, because I get to take those contacts and build relationship with them. They come to my events, and then eventually some of them hire me as clients. It's like really thinking about the long game and relationship building. So making this the mistake of sharing profits instead of sharing contacts. I'd love for everyone to just kind of rewire their brain around that. Another example is that every time I have an event, my FemTalks events that I was talking about earlier, I always have 2 guest speakers. And the women who speak at my events are actually, they're all my clients. And I don't pay them to speak. They come, they speak for free, but what each of them does is make an offer. Sometimes the offer is paid. Sometimes it's just, they're just passing a clipboard saying, hey, I have a free gift for you. Go ahead and put your name and email address if you'd like this awesome free gift. And so they leave with clipboards full of names and contact information of people who want what they have. I was just speaking to my friend Tara Christoph, who's part of the Circle, and she's spoken at FemTalks several times. And she's like, yeah, Jessica, I sell several $8,000 to $10,000 packages every time I speak at FemTalks. She doesn't sell them right there at the event, but she makes her offer at the event. She builds relationships. And then a lot of those people end up signing on to her $8,000 to $10,000 programs every single time. So she's not there to be paid as a speaker. I don't pay her, but she's there to collect connections and then to build relationships. Another mistake that is a very subtle mistake, but it can be potentially life-changing, not only in your business, but in your other relationships, is that people mix up a possibilities conversation and an action conversation. A possibilities conversation is one thing, an action conversation is another thing. So sometimes people don't know how to have a possibilities conversation or an action conversation because they're not making a distinction, that they're 2 separate things. So let me give you a story of woe. So I was at this conference, and I was connecting with this incredible woman. I love her so much. She's wonderful. And she was sharing this new vision with me. She really wanted to create a new offering, and I was actually the person that was facilitating this conference. So I felt like it was my job. I mean, I authentically felt supportive of her. I was like, that's amazing, and congratulations. That's awesome. And also because it was my role, I was holding space for all of these women. I also just felt like I was in a role of being supportive and commending her, and it was completely authentic. And what I told her was, hey, after the conference, let's hop onto the phone together because I'd love to possibly be involved in some way. And in my mind, it was like, even just using the word possibly, I was entering into a possibilities conversation with her. It's like, hey, let's hop on the phone, let's have a virtual tea, and tell me all about your vision. Like, give me all the ins and outs. I asked questions. So she really felt heard. And it became clear to me that there wasn't really any good way at that time for me to be involved. But I was like, hey, maybe I can help you spread the word or something in the future. And she got really upset with me because she had misinterpreted my saying, hey, let's hop on the phone and find out more. I'd love to hear more. She mistook that as an action conversation. Like somehow in that very short conversation that we had in the middle of this conference, she interpreted me saying, hey, let's see, I'd love to find out more, as I am committed to definitely being involved, even though I didn't say that. She mixed up this possibilities conversation, thought it was an action conversation. And then when I was kind of saying, okay, awesome, well, I wish you the best, and please let me know how I can support you in the future, she took that as me backing out of some kind of agreement. But when I make an agreement, it's clear. It's awesome. I'm actually going to walk you through how to make a collaborative agreement in a little bit. But yeah, sometimes women mix that up, and I've seen that happen before. I've seen that happen with other women as well, in collaborations that didn't go well because the possibilities conversation, the action conversation got all kind of bundled up, and then their expectations and agreements were thought to be made, and then people come away feeling miffed or feeling like their end of the bargain wasn't held up. So really know and really communicate when you're going into a possibilities conversation, which is just like, hey, we're just going to see what's possible. Let's just explore how we can play with each other. And then an action conversation, which is a little bit different, which I'll get into in a moment. The final mistake that I'll talk about is networking. When you're out there networking for clients instead of networking for community leaders. Right? Sometimes people make the mistake of being at a networking group trying to find clients. When I go out networking, I'm networking with the speakers because they're people who are already established. They're people who have already done the work of gathering tribe. They probably have an email list. They're establishing themselves as a leader in their field. I want to network with them. I want to network with the person who's throwing the event, the person who's producing the meetup, the person who's already has tribe and has already filled the room, because maybe I can be a speaker. I'm not going to come up to them and be like, hey, I want something from you. But when I'm networking and just kind of in that dance, I'm not trying to get clients. This feeds back into the hungry ghost thing. I'm wanting to make connections with people who are already connected. And once you've got the attention of community leaders, treat them like community leaders. Don't treat them like potential clients. I had a woman who was a chiropractor, an incredible woman, really wonderful. She came to my FemTalks events many, many times. And I just was turned off because I think there was like a perception that I have a successful business, and so then therefore can afford her really not expensive. It was just, her kind of high-end chiropractic package, and just kind of came at me like trying to get me as a client. I mean, this went on and on and on, like almost trying to talk me into being a client, which anyway is really slimy. But it was like, hey lady, you're a healer. And this is a community of women who are used to investing in healers. Like I could name 10 women that would love to know an awesome chiropractor. But instead of coming at me as a community leader where I could promote her and say, hey ladies, check out this woman where she might get multiple clients, she kept coming at me as if she was just trying to fish for me. And I was like, oh no, you got this wrong. Like I'm a very connected person. Like I didn't say this, well, actually, I did say this to her. I was like, you could have, I was like, I feel turned off. But I was like, instead of coming at me, trying to just get me to pay you this, I could have connected you with like 10 other women who would have paid you that. But now I just feel like there's just a disconnect here. So connecting with client leaders and people who've already done the work of gathering. I'm going to screenshot something with you. This kind of goes back to, this is the final mistake, is not having an email list. Growing your email list allows you to collaborate, and I'll talk a little bit about what that can look like. And it's much easier to grow an email list than it is to grow a blog following or a podcast following or an Instagram following. It's way easier to grow an email list. So let me do a little screen share with you. I want to share with you some stats. Okay, share some stats. Here we are. So I did some digging for stats. All of the digging I did was stuff that's been like posted in the last year. And this just kind of lays out for you that there's about the same amount of people using email and social media. But in terms of being like a preferred channel for promotions, email is still pretty like way up there. I mean, it really hasn't really gone down much in the last decade in terms of people's preferred way to find out about things, courses and workshops and meetups, etc. The conversion rate for email, and I'll break this down in a second, is up around 6%, which isn't that high. I mean, if you think like it'd be great if it was higher, but that's just the truth. Social media is under 2%. So let's say you have a workshop coming up and you want to fill it with 80 people, you would have to reach about 80,000 people, about 50 to 80,000 people in order to fill your workshop through social media. And that would be like thousands of dollars of Facebook ads. Or email is just free. The open and click-through rate is way higher. Let me click through a couple more of these to show you. Oh, shooty pants. Hold on a second. Oh, here we go. Oh, I took that away. Okay. Sorry, I'm learning. Here we go. There's just some other little screenshots. I don't know if this is really tiny for you or if this looks big for you, but all of the stats just kind of point to also age range. Like most of your clients are probably not 15 to 24. I know some of the women in the community work with teens. A lot of teens are definitely on social media, but when you start getting up into the 40s, 50s, and 60s, the actual social media usage by age is significantly lower. 90% of pretty much every age group is using email, but only 64%. And then as you get above 60, the age of 60, 65, that goes down to, just under 40%. Significantly fewer people are actually using social media, and even fewer are using social media on a regular basis. So number of active users, emails way higher, Facebook. Actually, this is shifted. Instagram is actually up there. I think this one might be a little bit old. Instagram is actually surpassing Facebook in terms of usage, but email is still in the billions, way more like in terms of being checked every day and used, is still the way to go. So these are just some little graphy graphs. I don't want to spend too much time here, but I just want to show you the actual numbers. The email marketing is still super, super hot. I'm going to stop the screen share. I was just at a retreat with other 6, 7, and 8-figure entrepreneurs, and they too were like, yeah, we do have Facebook ads and stuff, but our number one way of promoting our stuff is still through email. So I just wanted to reiterate that because it's easy to get caught up in the fantasy that we're just going to post something on Facebook, or we're just going to post something on Instagram, or we're just going to make a Facebook ad, and to think that we're going to get these incredible results. So I have some homework for you. My homework is getting a little technical. If your brain is melting, then you don't have to do this homework. But if you'd like to do this homework, the homework is that you go home and you start to track your links. Here are some resources for you. So let's say you have a workshop coming up, and you can use one of these link tracking services to take the link, maybe it's an Eventbrite link, or it's some other way that people are purchasing tickets. Really, you would take that link or the link to your event, whatever link you're using when you're promoting, and you use one of these link tracking services, and after your workshop, you actually can look and see how many clicks did you get through email, how many people clicked through and purchased tickets through email, how many people clicked through and purchased tickets through Facebook, how many people through Twitter, all the different ways that you might be promoting. What you're going to find is the number of clicks that you get through your email marketing is going to be way higher, like significantly higher. It wasn't always like this, but ever since Facebook changed their algorithm, and Instagram has as well, it's just social media marketing. I don't hardly even use Facebook anymore for marketing, and it used to be my number one marketing tool. I used to teach classes in how to use Facebook for marketing, and I don't even use Facebook for marketing anymore, other than just to kind of presence things so it seems like I'm doing things. So track your links and really find out what the reality is for you, so that the next time you do a workshop, you can spend more attention on the thing that's actually working. You actually have proof of what's working. So let's talk about some solutions here. There's some different kinds of collaborations. Summits. Summits are really great because you're gathering a lot of different people together, and those people have email lists. So let's say you did a summit with 5 people who all of them have lists of 5,000 subscribers, then that means you're reaching an audience of 25,000 people. Free gifts. Free gifts are also a great means to collaborate. So most of you hopefully have some kind of free gift that you offer through your website. Sometimes these are called opt-in gifts. I'll write it here, opt-in. sometimes they're called client magnets. I don't think I did spell it right. Yay. These are very simple versions of free gifts. They're like the thing that when someone comes to your website, you're like, hey, check out my 5 keys to losing weight and feeling great. And people are like, yeah, I want to know those 5 keys. And they put in their email address and their name and they receive the free gift. Free gifts are awesome because I know for myself, anytime I put an email out about one of my monthly meetups, I always include a free gift at the top, because as a community leader, I don't want to constantly be beating my list over the head with asking for money, come to my event, ask for money, come to my event, join my program, blah, blah, blah. Like I do a lot of that. And so it's important for me to give my clients and my email list, it's important for me to give them, to nurture my email list, to give them gifts, to give them resources. So let's see who's on here that I've given a free gift of. I think I've given it Beth Barani. You had a free gift last year that was all about writing your book, writing and publishing your book, something like that. And I was like, hey, there are a lot of women in the FemTalks community that want to learn how to write and publish their books. So I was like, awesome, Beth has a free gift. Let me share it to my email list. And her free gift got lots of clicks. Lots of women were interested. So Beth gets to grow her email list. I get to share something that's really beneficial for my community. So that can be a really easy, low pressure way to grow your email list and to collaborate, is to find other colleagues who are offering similar services or services that would really benefit your clients that aren't really in competition, but like, let's say if you're a holistic health practitioner, maybe connecting with a nurse practitioner, maybe connecting with a doula, an acupuncturist, a chiropractor, other people in your field that are not in direct offering the exact same services, but that you know that your clients also need their services. So doing a free gift exchange, like a promo exchange, is such a great, like, it would just be a no-brainer. In fact, one thing I've encouraged for some of my clients is every month do a spotlight. Do like a featured healer spotlight where you send an email out about someone else in your industry and get people, you know, in the process giving away a free gift. That can be a really fun way to offer collaboration. And then if they do the same thing for you, then you're also growing your email list and you're also building more of a tribe around what you're creating. I'm going to take a sip of my water. Another great collaboration is around intro workshops. So doing an introductory workshop. I was mentioning before that most of the folks in the industry have like a seasonal introductory workshop. Your introductory workshop could be half a day, it could be a full day. A lot of the industry leaders do 3-day events, but that's not usually necessary until you get to a certain point, until you can actually hire a team of people to do that event for you and you really have everything dialed in your business. But until then, just a half day or a full day intro workshop. And what you can do is actually, if there are other people in your community who also have intro workshops, you can do a little cross promotion. Hey, you have a workshop coming up in September. I'll promote your workshop for September if you'd be willing to promote my workshop that's coming up in November. This is going to inspire you to look a little bit further out into the future. I book my events 1 to 2 years out into the future. I have to because of my agreements with the spaces that I rent. And also most speakers are accustomed to getting booked a year or 2 out into the future. So that's just a direction I've had to operate in for a long time. You don't have to think a year or 2 out into the future, but I think it's always great to have, if you have a workshop coming up, to always have the next workshop already scheduled. And then see if you can get at least 5 other people to promote your workshop for you. So if you have 5 people, right, and they have email lists of anywhere from 2,000 to 10,000 subscribers, that doesn't have to be your prerequisite, then your workshop is getting out there to a huge community of anywhere from 15 to 50,000 people. I mean, talk about being able to fill your workshop with ease. And that's just by having those 5 delicious conversations with people. And then finding ways where you can actually support each other, where you can also promote them. So yeah, that would more, having a 3, 4, 5 people promoting your next workshop would more than fill your webinar workshop. And they're not promoting it through Facebook. They're not promoting it necessarily through Instagram unless they've got a huge following. They're promoting it with email, because we've already ascertained that email really is the most powerful way to reach people right on their phones, right in their home office, right in their living room, on their laptop. So I want you to do a visioning exercise. I want you to imagine if you had a webinar audience. Let's say that you do a webinar. I want you to just close your eyes, and I want you to imagine that you have a webinar audience of 1,000 people, right? Like Danielle Leslie, she's got like hundreds and hundreds of people that come to her webinars because she engages in cross promotion. Other industry leaders promote her. She's built relationships with them over the years. Imagine that you have a webinar audience of 1,000 people. What would you say? What would you sell? What would you invite them into? What if you had an audience of 500 people? What if you had an audience of 100 people? One of my dear friends, Christelle, if your eyes are closed, you can open them again. I just wanted you to just kind of touch in with that. One of my close friends, Christelle, has a 6-figure business. It's kind of cusping with multiple 6-figure business. She's built her business entirely out of client referral partners. She doesn't do any marketing. She builds relationships, and then those relationships refer her high-paying clients. And she's got very high-end, I mean, she's got clients that pay her $3,000 a month to work with her. That's not, she has different tiers, but like, you know, she's very boutique, very high touch. I know a number of women, there are a number of women who've come through my business mastery circles who have written and published books. And the number one way to get on the book bestseller list is to have dozens of people promoting their books to their email list. So the way a bestseller book launch looks like, or one of the ways it can look like if you're trying to get to number 1 on the bestseller list or the Amazon bestseller list, is that you get a team of about 30 people. You start months ahead of time. You get about 30 people who have email lists on board and say, hey, on June 1st, I'm going to launch my book. And on June 1st, I would like for you to send an email saying, hey, check out Jessica's upcoming such and such an awesome book. And a lovely little email, an invitation, here's the link. And then you've got thousands of people buying your book, and that bumps you up to the bestseller, the bestseller list. So this really works. This works kind of across the board in pretty much any project that you take on, whether it's a workshop or a book. So in order for this to work, you have to have some juicy treats to bring to the table, right? You need to create structures in your business that allow you to collaborate. So types of structures could be having a newsletter spotlight, like I talked about, where every month maybe you're interviewing someone, or every month you're promoting someone to your email newsletter. Like I was talking about with Amanda at her medicine ceremonies, having a guest speaker. I do that at FemTalks as well. At each FemTalks, there are 2 speakers, because that allows you to not only promote your workshop yourself, but that guest speaker. Have someone come in and lead the opening meditation. Have someone come in and lead some kind of facilitated embodied exercise. Have someone come in and take a little chunk of the workshop that you're teaching, and then you get to decide what that collaboration looks like, the parameters of that collaboration. Other types of collaboration are simply cross-promoting. I just gave you several examples of I scratch your back and you scratch mine. I promote your free gift to my email list, and you promote your free gift to, how does that work, to my free gift to your email list. You know what I'm talking about. I promote you, you promote me. Another option, which I talked about a little bit earlier, is a hosted interview. You can take that hosted interview an expert in your field. You can turn that into a summit, interview lots of experts in your field. You could turn that interview, take the recording, make it into a podcast. If you're doing it on Zoom, you could put it on YouTube. So it's got there's multiple reasons for doing that interview. But if they're promoting it, you're promoting it, then both of your email lists are growing. I also implore you to treat your business with the same reverence as if you were birthing or raising a child. Treat your business with the same reverence as if you were birthing or raising a child. So when women in my community are pregnant, we come together as a tribe of women to throw her a baby shower. That's where the tribe comes together to celebrate this vision of new life. We come together to for her and her partner to have a blessing way. That's when the tribe celebrates mom and dad stepping into their journey. We create a postpartum care calendar for her so that we can organize meals and care and laundry so that she can just, if she's had a C-section, she can recover anyway. Even without that, there's the recovery process. And we come together as a tribe and we take care of her. There are communications and organization and sharing of a common vision that has happened before the baby arrives. Communications and organization and a sharing of a common vision that has happened before the baby even arrives. And after the baby comes, there's still an organization of all of the aunties, the care team. So I really took this on. Before my very first Fem Talks, I hosted a potluck in my home. I brought in the women that I had booked to speak at Fem Talks, or that I was wanting to book to speak at the upcoming Fem Talks. I brought them into my home. We shared food, we connected, we laughed. It was lovely. And then I shared my vision. I said, hey, I'm wanting to create this monthly event. Here are my intentions. Here's what I want for you. I want you to speak at these events, etc. I reached out to these other women leaders who were already established, already had followings. I already knew them. I already had interacted with them. We already knew, liked, and trusted each other. And I booked them as guest speakers. And my very first Fem Talks, my very first meetup, there were 40 women at that meetup, which isn't a lot, but considering I had never done it before, and oftentimes people have first meetups or they start a meetup group and their first meetup might have like 5 people. There are 40 women and it's never dipped under that number since then. In 10 years, it has grown, and in 10 years, the numbers have only gone up from there. But it started because I got other community leaders on board with my vision first, and then we all kind of paved the way. And Fem Talks is certainly what it is now because of that base of collaboration. So you need to have a solid team of cheerleaders. These are cross-promotion sisters who have agreed, or brothers who have agreed to promote you well ahead of time. They've agreed well ahead of time to promote you, ideally by sending a solo email to their email lists, in addition to any Facebook posts or Instagram, etc., which means you need to be connected to a bunch of people who have email lists, who have a following. So the most valuable part of my business mastery circles are the networking lunches. Like, yes, Tara Christoph and other people sell many high-paying packages when they speak at Fem Talks. That's great. But the opportunities and the audiences and the additional speaking opportunities and the partnerships that they make during the lunches are really where the value is. So I want you to imagine standing up, announcing what you're creating to a group of other women who are there for the sole purpose of collaborating with you. Women who have email lists of 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, 50,000 email subscribers. Yes, you can add $30,000 to $60,000 to your annual income through tribal marketing. And imagine connecting over food or over tea or over phone with women like this. So when you're out there in the world, I want you to be looking at your networking and the connections you're making, not as potential clients, but as cross-promotion sisters. You're just going to start to build your Queen's Council. So I'll talk about that in a moment. I want you to, these are also people who can connect you with speaking opportunities. They can connect you with, it's like we talked about earlier, like each person you connect with is a potential gateway. So if you're there with heart, you're there with curiosity versus judgment and comparison, and even engaging in anything that there is a such thing as competition, because competition exists in your mind. There is no such thing as competition. Some of my most powerful business partnerships have been with other business coaches. I'm a business coach. They're a business coach. I'm happy to say, hey, check out this person, because I'm not a fit for everybody. FemTalks is not for everybody, right? We get pretty woo. We're like a bunch of, very success oriented, but we're like a bunch of like priestessy, goddessy ladies. That doesn't speak to everybody. So you want to be collaborating with people and organizations that resonate with you and that you resonate with, that who've already done the work of gathering people. So let's say that you work with parents or you work with kids, you're going to want to connect with parent-teacher associations, right? They've already gathered, the parents are already there. You're going to want to reach out to schools. If you're a holistic health practitioner or you do some kind of dance, movement exploration, you want to connect with yoga studios. My partner works for a tech company, a tech startup that is developing software for people with ADHD. And that company brings in people that lead leadership trainings every single month. So if you do leadership trainings or you do work around team building or things like that, reaching out to startups, tech companies, collaborate with people and organizations who've already done the work of gathering people so that you don't have to solely gather people with email lists, right? I was talking about Tara Christoph. She does summits every year. She grows her email list by anywhere from 5,000 to 10,000 subscribers every time she does a summit. And this has led her to have a very comfortable multiple six-figure business because people come to her summits, they're on her email list, she nurtures those relationships, and then she invites them to work with her. Let's see what's going on. I want to talk about how to build your Queen's Council, and then we're gonna go into Q&A. So I want to also take a moment to give you an invitation. I told you that I'm not doing any selling on this call, so I'm just going to take a minute to invite you to find out more about my business mastermind circles. Women tell me all the time that they are deeply nourished by the support and inspiration and measurable business growth that they get in my circles. I have women that come back 3, 4, 5 years in a row because they come into the circle, their business grows. They come back into the circle, their business grows more. They come back into the circle, their business grows more. And joining the circle is a profound way to build partnerships and collaborations to elevate your business, to turn your visionary ideas into real money-making structures, and to create prosperous offerings that emotionally connect with people, and to receive accountability and inspiration from a circle of successful women influencers and leaders to accomplish what you said you would accomplish in the next year. And ultimately, what I want for you is to touch more hearts, to grow your following, to position your business, to reach more communities, to be the go-to influencer in your field, and to grow your business with a circle of spiritually oriented, solution-oriented women who have similar values, to be deeply seen, initiated, and supported in your path. So I'm always happy to hop on the phone for a completely no pressure connection call. And my link to schedule a connection call with me is right here. I know we're going into summer, but that's fine. Sometimes women will hop on and then they're like, hey, I want to join, but I can't join until the fall. Is that okay? And that's fine. We can talk about that. So I just wanted to put that out there. If you're feeling resonance with coming into this community of women, to build your speaking platform, to attract more speaking opportunities, to elevate your entire business model with collaboration, to position your workshops and programs so that your business exudes an effortless beauty and flow. So let's talk about how to build your Queen's Council. So there are conversations that need to happen in order to build community and tribe around your business in a way that's profitable, and ultimately construct this team of cheerleaders, or what I'll also call your Queen's Council, the advocates that will help you grow your business without having to lift a finger. So let's talk about how to have a Queen's tea. a queen has to connect with other diplomats and decision makers from other countries every day, as well as the decision makers in her own land. And a great way to build your Queen's Council is to simply send a collaboration request letter. So I'm actually going to give you a template that I use that is a little Google Doc. And it is the exact template that you can take, you can copy, paste, make it your own, that you can actually send out to other community leaders. Ideally, you're reaching out to people who already know you or know of you. And ideally, these people have a positive association to you, right? You don't want to reach out to people that you're like, oh, do I really want to collaborate with that person? You want collaboration to be fun. And then if they're like, yeah, hell yeah, then you hop on the phone together. Really important. This is really important. You don't want to navigate a collaboration through email. Nobody does that. Even like my 7-figure sisters, like Charlotte Jacobs, she's a busy mom. She's a 7-figure business. She's incredible. She's got great balance, but she's busy. She hops on the phone with me every single year for 10 years to refresh how we can collaborate with each other. She takes the time to do that with every single one of her JV partners. JV partner is just a fancy way of saying collaboration person, because the amount of time and effort it takes to have those 12 to 24 conversations over the course of the year, it means having 1 or 2 phone conversations every month, that's it, saves her so much work, because what it leads to is thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people being marketed to and learning about her programs. And then she gets to just show up to her intro events and do her thing. So the way that you have a Queen's Tea is really just connecting heart to heart. So you both get on the phone together or Zoom or have a tea together. You connect heart to heart. This is like a little mini enrollment conversation. You're going to ask them questions. What are you creating? What are you birthing? And then deeply listen. And then you're going to give them an opportunity to hear about what you're creating. And then you simply discover how you want to play together. Hey, I'm having some ideas. What if this? What if that? It's a brainstorming session. It's a possibilities conversation. Discover the win-win. You may have to do a follow-up conversation, but the intention really is that you are having a possibilities conversation, generating ideas, and finding out the collaboration that's right for you. And then agreeing on solid next steps. And then you can move into the action portion of the conversation or have a follow-up conversation. So you must do it via phone. It must feel heart connected. I was having a conversation with a woman, Erica, recently, and we were just having a chit chat. It actually wasn't a collaboration conversation. We were just chit chatting. She remembered that I was a yoga teacher, like on the side. I've been teaching yoga for 20 years. She's like, hey, I'm doing a retreat in Italy. Would you like to come to Italy and be my yoga retreat teacher? Yoga teacher for my retreat? It was awesome. It was just, we were heart connecting. It was just what naturally arose. Okay. So the number one way that wealthy women healers grow their email lists and attract clients without hustle that you can immediately start doing is making your list of collaborators. So this is the last piece. I know I'm going to go over about 2 minutes here. If you need to leave, that's completely fine. You can listen to the recording, but here's your exercise. Here's your homework. Make a list of collaborators. Make a list. It could be a spreadsheet. It could be a page in your journal. It could be a notes app on your phone. Make a list of people who you think you might want to collaborate with. You don't have to reach out to them. You're just making the list. And I want you to take the next 2 weeks to make this list, because what's going to happen is you're going to find that names are going to come to you in your sleep, when you're dreaming or when you're waking, when you're taking a shower, when you're taking a walk in nature. There'll just be these moments where you're not even thinking about your list and you're like, oh, right, that person. Oh yeah, okay, let me add them to the list. So allow your list to become alive. And then also sometimes some shadow material, those judgments come up when we start making our list. We judge them, or we think they're going to judge us, or there's a lot of comparison that will happen in your mind, and gives you time to get some support around your shadow. And then go ahead and start inviting them. Call, text, or email the people on your list that you just made and just say, hey, can we schedule a how can we play conversation? I'd love to have a Queen's tea with you. Invite them to tea. And I think if you can have 2 or 3 collaboration conversations every single month, obviously not everyone's going to be a fit, then a year from now, then you've got a solid team of 10 to 15 strategic partners. A year from now, you've got your Queen's Council, people that you can trust to support you when you have a workshop coming up, when you're birthing your book, when you have a course coming up. Be curious, listen. The first part of the connection is all about them. It's all about finding the win-win. It's all about the invitation and the heart. So that is what I have for you. And I would love to open it up for Q&A. I'll record this part as well. And you can just go ahead and unmute yourself, say your name, and state your question.
Hey, Jessica.
Hi, Beth.
Hey, ladies. I'm Beth Barani. So my big question, and I think this is probably in the shadow material land, is noticing what I don't want first and really kind of hanging out in that space in terms of collaborators, like, oh, this was a bad experience, or I don't want that person. And noticing that it's kind of challenging for me to focus on what I do want. And I just have to say, over the course of our time together today, I did make a long list. I'm like, oh my goodness, I could totally do the free gift exchange. I know all these people and I like all these people. So, but I still notice it's like, okay, there's a little bit of fuzziness around, well, what are those people? And do you have any exercises or wonderful question toolbox type things that can open that up in a really beautiful way? Because I know I get stuck in all the things I don't want for a while until I find, oh yeah, this is what I want. In terms of the kinds of people I want to collaborate with, and a little bit broader than super niche, because I'm a very super niche. Like what would that look like? What other kinds of people outside of the super niche would be amazing fits for me? And how do I spot them? How do I recognize them? And how can I prepare that, like mulching the ground within, so that my values, I'm like primed, so that when they come across either in online or in person, I'm like, oh my God, this is cool. And then
totally
create a connection.
What a great question, Beth. Thank you so much. So I think the first question was like the qualities or characteristics or criteria of who would make a great collaborator. I would say number one, because most of us are people who serve clients or want to serve clients, who that they offer something that your clients need. And ideally, it's something that you don't offer. Like, I'm a business coach, but I'm not necessarily like a branding expert. Like, I definitely help my clients clean up their message, but that's not my main focus. And there are people out there that's their main focus. Alina, who's on the phone with us, is a branding expert. So a couple of years ago, I had Marissa Murgatroyd, who's a 7-figure branding expert, come and lead a training call for my clients. And then we recorded that call and put it in the Wisdom Vault for future clients. But I also sent an email because Marissa was having a big like training thing coming up. And I was like, hey, I emailed my whole list and said, hey, check out Marissa. Our agreement, just to let you in on the back end, was that anyone who purchased one of her bigger programs, I got a percentage of that. That's a complicated thing to try to navigate what's like commissions, affiliate commissions. That's why I didn't talk about it during this call, because it's, there are certain things that need to be part of your business in order to make that work. It's like advanced collaboration, but just to let you know, that was what our collaboration was. So people who have something to teach or offer that you know that your clients need, that maybe you do teach, but it's not your specialty. And also that your audience is a fit for them, which kind of is the other side of that coin. It kind of works itself out if they have something for your clients. I've gotten to a point in my business that when it comes to real strategic partnerships, I only partner with people who, like, this is my criteria. If I'm going to go into an actual commission-based partnership, I only partner with people who are already playing at the 7-figure level. The reason for that is when they're at the 7-figure level, they got there because of collaboration, so they know the ins and outs of the game, but they also have a JV manager. They have someone who's actually managing their partnerships, so I'm not having to chase them for money, because that feels awful. That ruins the relationship to have to like chase someone for money. It's like, ugh, like we had an agreement, I made good on my agreement, and now your JV manager is going to make sure that I get my, you know, my part of the thing, the payment, etc. So that's one of my criteria. That doesn't have to be your criteria, but for that type of collaboration, that has become one of my criteria, because I spent a lot of time chasing people, and that really sucked, and it let me down. In terms of just cross promotion, like what we've been talking about here, I collaborate with lots of people. There is some consideration on their list size, but you know what? I want to share something. This is actually really important. I was at this retreat with these 6, 7, and 8-figure entrepreneurs, and this guy got up and had a 6-figure launch. That means he had something and made 6 figures right as soon as it was, you know, launched. And he said he said they had like 24 people promoting that launch. And he said the person that, who, they didn't bring in the most people, but the people they brought in, there were the people who most converted into being like high paying clients, was someone who only had an email list of 500 people. I mean, this is someone who had partners that have tens of thousands email lists, you know, these huge followings, and this one tiny partner who had an email list of 500 people actually ended up being the most successful partner in that launch, and making the most commissions, and there was the most win-win there, because when you have a small email list, it's usually a very high touch, like everyone on your email list probably knows you, and so if you say, hey, go to this workshop or do this thing, they're going to be more inclined to be a yes to that. So don't discount people with small email lists. But if you have a small email list, let this be incentive to grow your email list, because then you can play with bigger and bigger fish. Then you've got, yeah. So I don't know if that's helpful. Email list is a little bit of a consideration, that they have something that would actually benefit your audience. And then it's a holistic win-win as well. Because it's not just your business is being benefited, it's like your community is being benefited.
I love
And then
that.
other than that, it's like personality, right? It's like there are certain women, I mean, I work with women, certain women that come from a place of criticism and like, man, like I have a 0 gossip policy in my life. 0 gossip. I don't stand for it. Gossip is like one of the, I could go on and on. I go on a rant. I'm not going to go on a rant. I don't gossip. And there are women that sometimes come to me because I'm a coach, and they'll confide in me things, but it's coming from like a not solution oriented place. Like sometimes stuff happens, and then it's like, well, then come from a solution oriented place, or don't play with that person. But yeah, there's oftentimes like, you know, you can kind of feel when someone's just not going to be a great team player. I want to communicate with people who see the best in others. I want to collaborate with people who are positive in their interactions with me. I want to collaborate with people who are leading inspiring lives. So those could also be criteria as well. Did I answer your question? And I think there was another part.
Yes, you totally did. No, this was very, very helpful, and just talking it out. And I think brainstorming some more on where all the different characteristics, and also I started thinking about different people and certain qualities I like in them. I'm like, oh, I want to collaborate with someone who has the humor of this person, and or I like people who have a sense of humor, and you know, started to think about all the different qualities that are important in my collaborations, and how they actually have to be 100% present. Like they can't be. I think I've gotten into trouble in the past, and maybe other ladies here too, where you're like, this part is great about this whole relationship, but this part kind of sucks and drags me down. And I just want to say yes to the awesomeness and no to everything else.
Yeah, that's a great way to go. Yes to the awesomeness, no to, we should make a t-shirt. Yes to the awesomeness, no to everything else. I'm totally writing that down. Beth Barani. That's amazing. I'm going to type that in there. Yes to the, oh, I put it in the wrong place. Yes to the awesomeness. Yeah. Oh, I don't think I spelled it right, but awesome. Let's get another question. Was there another question, or can I move on? Okay. Okay, great. So we'll have the next participant if you have a question. I also completely understand if you need to go, because I did mention this was going to go till 12 and we're going over. I love that you're here. I wish we could all get in a hot tub together right now, but I'm here for a little bit longer if you would like to ask questions.
I have a question, Jessica.
Hi, Paula.
Hi, sweetheart. I am finally ready to put together my first workshop. And, but I have a question about collaborators because I am here to teach millennial women in corporate how to step into leadership using the divine feminine and the goddess archetypes, bringing it out in them. So that I don't think anybody's doing that. So I'm not sure how to find collaborators that would be interested in what I'm doing.
Well, it sounds like if you're wanting to connect with corporations, right? You're wanting to go into the corporate world and go into startups and tech and corporate and organizations.
Exactly.
So here's the distinction. It's actually perfect because you're wanting to basically be hired by people who've already done the work of gathering, right? These organizations have already gathered their employees. And so I imagine the path that you would be pursuing would be brought in as like a paid trainer.
Yes.
Right. So who you want to collaborate with is the decision makers at those corporations. So probably you'd be connecting with HR first. And it might be nice to have some tea with other women in the community who also do corporate training. And you can just reach out and say, hey, who knows other women who are doing corporate training? Would you connect me? And then connect with them and like do a little bit market research. How do they get their foot in the door? Can they connect you with corporations that they've really enjoyed working for? So I would not worry about building relationships with other entrepreneurs because they've not gathered necessarily corporate people. You want to communicate directly with the corporations. But the best way to connect with those corporations is through other people who've already done corporate trainings. It's like connecting with speaking gigs. The best way to connect with a speaking gig, right, if you want to speak at a certain conference, is to connect with someone who's already spoken at that conference or to connect directly with the decision maker. But if somebody's already spoken at the conference, they can connect you directly. You can say, hey, would you be willing to make an introduction email between the project manager at Cisco and me, because you've had such a great job training there, would you be willing to make a personal introduction via LinkedIn or email?
Okay, no. That would be the normal way to go if I was just doing a business training, which I have done. But I'm not sure how. One of the reasons I worked with Katarina Randa for 3 years, and then her market is not my market.
Right. Yeah.
So, and then
she has like older women entrepreneurs. You're wanting to work with younger women in corporate. Yeah.
Well, the reason that I don't know, gravitated to Fem Talks is because I'm also very, I love the goddessy stuff, and I resonate with what you do. And that's why I'm trying to match those with corporate, because we need more women in positions of power and yada yada. But the more women that we have that follow the divine feminine, we're going to get more balance in this world.
Right. Well, let me pause you for a second, Paula. So really what you want to do in terms of, it sounds like there's the corporate training, but then there's also just having like one-on-one clients or having programs for women in corporate, but outside of the corporate setting where they're just hiring you because you're teaching them these leadership skills. Is that correct?
Leadership skills.
So
in the divine, the goddess archetype.
I get it. I want to stay focused on the kind of woman. So young, corporate, but you're not necessarily only going into the corporate setting. You're also willing to coach them and work with them because they're hiring you personally. Is that that's the clarification?
Well, I've already coached about 3 or 4 women one-on-one.
Okay, but the distinction I'm making, because I just need clarity, Paula, the distinction is there's the corporate training, which we've already talked about. And then I believe the distinction you're trying to make is that you're also wanting to do more one-on-one coaching with corporate women that hire you directly, that
Well,
they're paying you.
Yes, well,
Okay.
I want to focus on Zoom coaching.
Awesome, but they're paying
Good.
you, right?
Yes.
Ideally? Okay, awesome, great. Okay, so the people you need to be networking with are other entrepreneurs who see corporate clients, right? Like I know I could name about 5 women right now whose the people that they work with are corporate people. So you need to network with them. So when you're out there networking, you're asking to be connected with other coaches or speakers or workshop leaders or trainers that also see corporate clients.
Mhm.
Okay,
That's really it.
okay.
Yeah, that you have a shared audience.
Excuse
That's
me.
really key. Because you're right, because you know, you could, let's say if you and I collaborated, it wouldn't be the best collaboration because all of my clients are women entrepreneurs. Most of them got out of corporate to be entrepreneurs. So they're no longer connected. I'm not connected to that world. So I wouldn't have any connections with you in that world.
Right.
But somebody else who works with corporate women, even if it's around, I know a woman who works with corporate women around relationships and intimacy. But her audience, all of her clients that pay her thousands and thousands of dollars are corporate women. So she would be a great collaboration, even though the two of you are not teaching the same kinds of things. She's got the spiritually oriented corporate women who are accustomed to paying for personal growth that you need to be connected to.
That's my market, spiritual corporate women.
Perfect. Thanks,
Okay.
Paula.
No, thank you,
Awesome.
sweetheart.
Yeah. Fancy pansies. I'm excited for you, Paula. It's been beautiful to watch you unfold and it's kind of watching you from afar. So congratulations. Thank you.
Oh, well, you've been a big part of it. I just haven't been in the last week because I've been sick.
Yeah. I'm sorry to hear
But I'm
that.
better.
Yeah, good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's take a couple more questions. And like I said, my feelings will not be hurt if you need to hop off, but I'm glad you're here. So any other questions, clarifications? Or I also want to hear if you were like, okay, you said this, but like if there's also concerns where you're like, how does that work? Because I want to be able to address the shadow as well. There's a lot of shadow around relationships, including collaboration, and a lot of wounding around collaboration. So I'm totally game to handle that shit too. I see all your smiling faces.
I want to clarify, Jessica. You were talking about the women who are supporting you that you're talking with every week. Do you consider those women your collaboration partners, or is that a completely different set of people? Or
it's completely different. So Karen and Paget are not entrepreneurs at all. And so usually what I'm talking to them about is like sex and relationships. But it's important that those parts of my life are processed and seen and the celebrations are witnessed, right? Because I'm bringing my whole self to my business. So not with them. With Christelle and Amanda. Amanda's actually a client, right? She's actually been part of the mastermind circle for I think her 6th cycle because she's like, this is awesome. I always make my money back and more. So she just keeps joining. And we have an interesting, because we're also like best friends. So it's interesting to wear multiple hats with each other. That can be a dance that can be uncomfortable for some people. And I completely understand boundaries, but it just works for us. So we will veer in everything. And Christelle as well is an entrepreneur. She's not part of the circle, but she's, definitely entrepreneur. And so then those conversations tend to veer the whole gamut from sex, relationship, parenting, business, ups and downs, our business successes and woes. And so it's a little more full spectrum. But I would say the criteria for whoever it is really that they're supportive. It's interesting, when Christelle and I started doing our one-on-one, we actually didn't know each other very well at all. We had met each other like twice we were a little like, who are you? But there was something there. There was just we just were like, I just feel like we should know each other better. And we just committed to doing like a weekly call, just because we just were like, let's experiment and see what that's like. And it's been incredible. It's been amazing. It's like, now we totally understand why we were meant to talk every week. Because there's incredible parallels in our lives, but enough differences. So, yeah, it's nice to have a place to share about that terrible OkCupid date, you know, because that affects your energy, or the, you know, dumb thing that your kid did and got in trouble, or, you know, just that kind of thing. It takes up some energy, and to just be able to like process that and release that. So I highly encourage, because that way when you come to, I'm always fine if my clients come to me and are messy. I totally embrace that. And there's also a place where it's like, okay, our business coaching, the goal is for the client to come away with their next steps. It's like, okay, what's going on? What's working? What didn't work? How can we tweak that? And like, how do we go from here? And so if there's a lot of processing, then we don't have time to really get into the business stuff. So it's nice if that stuff can just kind of be processed. Yeah, so definitely go to your women's circles, you know, spiritually oriented or more emotionally oriented women's circles or groups, phone calls, therapist. The nice thing about the phone calls is it's like free therapy. So yeah, therapy, I mean, I know it's so wonderful, and there's many therapists in this, so I don't mean to be dismissive. I'm just saying it's nice to have layers of support.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to hear, since there weren't a lot of questions bubbling up, just maybe a couple of shares of something that was reframed for you, something that you can, by speaking it, kind of anchor it in as like, oh, I never thought of it that way, or I'm definitely going to do that, or I'd love to just hear like what your takeaway was.
Jessica, I'll speak because I'm going to pop off here. So for me, it's been a long journey of getting all the pieces of my purpose and authenticity and zeitgeist and, you know, everything in alignment. And I know now I am doing what you're talking about, magnetizing and being present. And I've gone through the big yang part of my experience in this life. So all the pieces are here. And so what for me today is just very much nourishing, and well, first of all, it's nourishing just to be here, and just to have the many faces of the feminine, right here on this call, and in many aspects. And then there's the piece of helping, because I honor both sides of my brain, the intellect and the intuition. So what you're giving also is the how-to steps, and you're doing it in such a way that it's coming from an energetic place and a heart, and all of the pieces of relationship and connection. So it's not just this step 1, 2, the 7 steps of this. You're also talking about the importance of connection and self-nurturing. And so all these pieces are here, and it's very clear, and I'm literally in process of expanding. So it just helps me to think things through clearer by all the things you taught this morning. So thank you, and thank you for your generosity of sharing your experiences and the links you provided, and et cetera. So I'm really excited to be working with you, and I will say I am her newest member to her mastermind, and this is my second experience with it, and it's just been 100% over the top. Excellent.
And thank you so much, Valencia. It's nice to have another MD as part of the circle. We've got several MDs at this point, which is really cool to kind of watch that happen. And you were just such a bright light. So glad to have you. And thanks for the insights, Valencia. Gorgeous.
Thank you. So I'm going to sign off and
okay.
For that facial you talked about.
Oh yeah, go get that facial with Hedda. Awesome. Yeah, glorious skin.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, if anyone needs a facial lady that is like, my skin is due to her, I have a great recommendation.
Thanks. Bye now.
So for me, first of all, want to say thank you, Jessica, for really like putting everything in points, because a lot of these things I've heard you say before, and having it in this really organized way. I've written down a lot of what you're saying, because when you're in a meeting or something, sometimes it's not always easy to write the notes down in that one moment.
Yeah.
So this has been really great to have it all like written out and give me a deeper understanding of why I'm doing all the things I'm doing.
Good. All the homework I gave you, you're like, why is she making me do this?
Well, I knew it was my growth and growth of my business. So it's just understanding actually helps you to come from I'm going to say a better place. There's so many words that can fit under better, and they're mostly applicable when you are doing all these steps. When you understand exactly why you're doing them, it just helps you feel more authentic about what you're doing, and yes, and feel those connections more deeply.
Gorgeous. Good. That makes me happy. It's one of the reasons I kind of promoted it so heavily to you ladies in the circle, because I was like, I feel like I'm saying a lot of this again and again, and I get that piece about in the moment or in a circle, there's like, there's a lot of different ideas being generated. And I was like, there's just certain things that I really need for women to understand. So thank you for giving me the platform and your attention to be able to do this, because I am putting this recording in the Wisdom Vault. At some point I might make a more concise version of it, but yeah, I really wanted to spend time giving context and statistics and things like that, just, so I'm glad that landed as helpful. I was worried that it might be a little, so I'm glad it landed. I actually do need to go, ladies, but I love that I get to connect with all of you on a regular basis. So thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate you taking the time from your Saturday. I don't usually do these on Saturdays, so thank you. And I look forward to giving you all a big hug soon. And have a beautiful rest of your weekend. Thank you. And I'll leave the chat box open because it will go away. If there's links or anything that you need to copy paste, you can take a moment to do that. But I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Mwah. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.